We've got a red alert, people. Red alert. Red alert. Who in the blue hell saw this coming? Not me. Not this guy. You heard me this whole season. Tom Thibodeau ain't going nowhere. They not firing this man. There's no way that the New York Knicks fire Tom Thibodeau with the relationship that he has with Leon Rose. It ain't happening. It's a pipe dream. Get it out of your heads. Listen, I was on boat with y'all. I'm right there with y'all in thinking, hey man, I might be over the Tom Thibodeau thing too. I was like 90% of the way there. Like 90% of the way there. The only 10% of me that was like, I kind of want to hold on to Tom Thibodeau is there's no guarantee that the favorite right now to be the next head coach of the New York Knicks is Johnny Bryant. Everyone's been talking about it. We'll get there. There's no guarantee that Johnny Bryant will end up being a better head coach than Tom Thibodeau. Right? There's no guarantee of it. There is a possibility where we name Johnny Bryant the next head coach of the New York Knicks, and it falls apart, and it's not good. And he turns out to not be a very good head coach. I don't believe that, but there is a possibility that that exists. Right? There's a possibility that that is the world in which we live in. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Johnny Bryant may not even be named as the head coach of the Knicks, as he may be on his way to Phoenix. Again, we'll get there. Let's just go over the shock of the timing in which this news has occurred. And it's kind of becoming... It's kind of becoming... I was going to say like world news, but not like world news, like NBA world news. Like everybody's talking about it in the NBA, right? The timing of it makes sense and simultaneously is insane. It makes sense because the sooner the better. It makes sense because if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on with the rest of the NBA, the Phoenix Suns were doing their head coaching search and they were interviewing a bunch of candidates. Johnny Bryant, along with, I don't remember the other candidate's name, excuse me for that, for not knowing that. But again, like I put in the chat, wholly unprepared for this. I was not I was working. I was literally like, man, I got to start wrapping up. I got to get home. And then the notification hit. And then I spent like another a half hour sitting at work on my phone because I was about to wrap up the day anyway, just scrolling through Twitter and figuring out what just happened? What just happened here? And then, got home, ate, showered, and then got ready for this. So I'm wholly unprepared. I wish I had graphics for you. I wish I had the stuff that I want to show y'all, but I don't have it loaded on the computer right now. But we'll get to it. Again, I'm just going over the initial shock of it. What's poppin', everybody? Let's get to it, right? Justice's dad, Too Toxic, Marilyn Tinsley, Knicks fan, AP, everybody else. Preach you, Frank, Keith, Daniel Berry Sports. Appreciate y'all. I'll get to y'all in a second. And again, just want to go over my initial shock, right? Because the timing of it, like I said, makes sense. It simultaneously doesn't make sense, right? It makes sense for all the reasons I just listed. Johnny Bryant is what I was getting to with Johnny Bryant is he is the favorite to be the next head coach of the Knicks, but he was just named as one of the 2 finalists in the running for the Phoenix head coaching job. Now, apparently, before lining up the stream, I read that Phoenix has already decided who their next head coach is going to be. And they did not make that known to the public, but apparently they let it be known to the candidates. If it's Johnny Bryant, then why the hell did the Knicks fire Tom Thibodeau? Because he seems like the likely candidate. Again, we'll get to the candidates. We'll get there. I have some thoughts. So it makes sense if like, okay, wait, fire Tom Thibodeau, Johnny Bryant, before you take that job, Johnny Bryant, would you like the New York Knicks job, right? You know, maybe the one you were kind of auditioning for the past 4 years, where you were here under Tom Thibodeau as associate head coach. Like that's a crazy title to give somebody, right? It's a crazy title to give to an assistant coach. Associate head coach, kind of crazy. It's a fancy way of saying assistant. But we didn't want to call you an assistant. We wanted to call you the associate head coach. And look, there was the whole thing where he comes over from Utah, partly because Donovan Mitchell wanted to come to the Knicks. It didn't end up happening. He ended up going to Cleveland. There was still some thought, even though he was traded to Cleveland, that he'd somehow find his way back to the Knicks. It didn't happen. This past season, Johnny Bryant was like, hey, you know what? It was cool. Thanks for your opportunity. Really appreciate y'all. Looks like you're kind of stuck with Tibbs. I don't know if I'm going to get this head coaching job anytime soon. I'm going to go back to my boy, Donovan Mitchell, go take the same position over in Cleveland. And so this was the first season since having Tom Thibodeau that we didn't have Johnny Bryant. But here's the thing. The other thing that we're hearing about and we're listening about Johnny Bryant. Again, we'll get to everything. I'm going to get to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all. But let me just get this off real quick. Apparently, Johnny Bryant was an organizational hire, not a Tom Thibodeau hire. Usually when usually front offices hire head coaches, and then in combination with the head coach, in communication with the head coach, we will hire an assistant coaching crew. Most head coaches have their assistant guys that they kind of take with them from spot to spot. So eventually, those assistant guys grow up from little puplings and become head coaches themselves, and then the coaching tree kind of evolves from there, right? Like Udoka, Will Hardy, those guys come from the Popovich coaching tree. Spoelstra, Van Gundy's, they come from the Pat Riley coaching tree. All these people can be connected to other people where they were assistants at one time under legendary head coaches, and they move on and then become whatever, right? But apparently, Johnny Bryant was an organizational hire from Leon Rose. He said, I'm going to go pluck one of the best assistant coaches in the league, and Johnny Bryant from Utah, who was under Quinn Snyder at the time, to come over and be a part of the head coaching, of the assistant coaching staff, right? Kind of the leader of the pack because, again, they gave him the job title of associate, not assistant, which means the same thing, but not really. And he's here under Tom Thibodeau, legendary head coach. Tom Thibodeau will likely be inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame at some point because everybody gets into the Hall of Fame. But then he goes under Kenny Atkinson, has this tremendous year. Kenny Atkinson has proven to be a pretty damn good coach in his own right. We'll see how the rest of his coaching career kind of plays out. Now, that is all to say, the New York Knicks apparently really like Johnny Bryant. He is in the running for the Phoenix Suns head coaching job. They may have thought it's now or never. Now or never. Because who the hell is taking over for Tom Thibodeau if not for Johnny Bryant, right? Now, names come up all the time. You never know. This guy could end up there. This guy could end up here. Again, we'll get to all the names I want to list out, and we'll go through every single one of them. And I'll answer everybody's question. The reason why it doesn't make sense, the Knicks just finished the other day. The Knicks season just ended against this team, Indiana Pacers. I should probably get that up off the screen. But it just finished against this team, right? And it feels really quick. It feels like a really quick decision. It almost feels like they kind of had it in their mind already, getting rid of this guy at the end of the season. Almost doesn't matter what he does. Maybe if he makes it to the finals, that would have saved his job. Maybe. Who knows? But as the playoffs played itself out, the Detroit series felt troubling. So it was like it took you 6 games to finish off Detroit. Feels a little much. There was some comebacks that had to be in there. There were no blowouts. You really had to battle that team. Not on your level, right? Like a couple of games where you had to battle against the Detroit team. They're spunky. They're feisty. They're good. They got good young players. Kate Cunningham's a dude you got to handle, man. He's tough, right? So, yeah, we'll give it to you. Not one blowout. You didn't get them one time. Like, your talent just didn't supersede everything and just destroy them. Not one time. All 6 games had to be super close and come down to the wire, and you had to, like, just edge them out with experience. Come on, man. That don't work out. That shouldn't have worked out, right? So there was not great feelings coming out of the Detroit series. Happy we won, but felt like we should have won, and it was like a battle for 6 games. It shouldn't have been a battle for 6 games, right? Anyway, we get to the Boston series. General consensus is Knicks will get killed. Maybe 5 games, maybe 6 games because the Knicks are spunky. And then the Knicks shocked the world and they beat them in 6 games. Yeah, it ended up being 6 games, but not for you guys, for us. And a lot of it gets written off because of the Tatum injury. Brown had apparently a torn meniscus, the weird illness from Kristaps Porzingis. All of that in context allowed the Knicks an opportunity to beat those guys. And they took not full advantage of it because maybe they should have won it in 5, but they took advantage of it enough to the point where they ended that series in 6 games and they knocked off the champion, a series in which at the start of it, not like, early in the year. No, at the start of the series, people were like, yeah, Boston in 6, if not 5. And it ended up being Knicks in 6. And it should have been Knicks in 5, but it ended up being Knicks in 6. And so all of a sudden, morale was high, right? Morale was kind of teetering after the Detroit series. After the Celtics series, morale was high. Because now all of a sudden, Indiana knocks off a 60, what were they, 64 win team, 61 win team, something like that, 60-plus win team, Cleveland Cavaliers, knocks them off, and now, all of a sudden we got a run back against Indiana. Okay, well, we're fully healthy this year, unlike last year where everybody exploded. The whole roster was disintegrated, and we took them to 7 games. This time we're fully healthy, rearing to go, coming off of beating the defending champions. Morale is high, confidence is high, let's go! And they throw away game 1, and morale comes crashing down. What was our goal for game 1, guys? Don't kill the vibes. And they immediately, in the final 2 minutes of game 1, immediately kill the vibes. And they pushed that series to 6 games, but it definitely felt like Knicks didn't belong in the same court as the Pacers. And that's an issue. And then all of a sudden, after morale was up here, morale kind of came crashing down to here. And it was like, what happened? What happened? Because this is a team that is definitely, in my opinion, much more talented than the Pacers. But they were not the better team in that series. The Pacers were. How did that happen? Multitude of things. Their players just played better. Flat out. I thought Nembhard, phenomenal game 6, locked down Brunson. Nesmith has the game of his life. It'll be the greatest moment in Aaron Nesmith's career in game 1. Halliburton hits a crazy fall-away jumper over Mitchell Robinson where he runs back, tries to get behind the three-point line, his toes on the line, turns out to be a 2. They go into overtime, and they still pull it out anyway. Right? They have a miraculous game 1. Halliburton has the game maybe of his career in game 3. Not game 3, in game 2. Game 4, excuse me. In game 4, almost as the game of his career to help them go up 3-1. And so, in totality, their play, and Siakam was consistently great throughout the entirety of the series, except for maybe game 1, but they pulled that one out anyway, even without great contributions from him. And so in totality, so much so that he wins Eastern Conference Player, right? Eastern Conference Player of the playoffs. I don't know, whatever that award name is. And overall, you can make the argument, and I think it's a credible argument that is correct, the correct argument, that the Indiana Pacers outplayed the Knicks. And how did that happen? When the Knicks have Brunson, who I think is a better player than Halliburton maybe overall. They have Bridges, who felt underutilized all year. They have OG Anunoby, felt underutilized all year offensively. They have Karl-Anthony Towns, who, as great of a season as he had, felt unutilized, or underutilized. They have Josh Hart, who felt overutilized. They have Deuce McBride, who felt underutilized. And they have a couple of bench guys who felt underutilized in Delon Wright, Landry Shamet, even you throw in Campaign in there. Maybe it's some of the rookies you want to throw in there. Sure, whatever. Doesn't matter. Fact of the matter is, the totality of the team felt underwhelming. At the end of the season, we felt underwhelmed with where this team ended up, even though they ended up maybe farther than a lot of us maybe expected. 2 wins away from a finals appearance. 6 wins away from a championship. Pretty damn close. And yet at the end of it, we had this weird vibe. And we didn't get to talk about some of the interviews that happened post-game that delivered some really interesting questions. And those questions, and those answers raised some interesting questions, right? So the biggest one was Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride's answer, in which he essentially said, and I don't have it in front of me because, again, wholly unprepared for this, he essentially says a lot of things that happened during the season got exposed in this series. And it was like, and at first you hear that and you go, yeah, you guys got exposed a little bit, you didn't play. What do you mean that happened all year long? Like, what do you mean got exposed in this series to a national level? What do you mean by that, Deuce? And they kind of ask him another question or maybe a follow-up question. I don't remember, specifically, wholly unprepared, because I didn't expect Tom Thibodeau to be fired today. And they kind of ask him a different question, and then, again, he goes, like I said, a lot of things got exposed. And it was like, when Deuce McBride is an understated dude, doesn't rock the boat, still a young guy, learning his way, role guy still, took a big leap on this team after the Anunoby trade and the depth kind of got killed, and he kind of rose up from the depth and was like, no, I'm here, I'm good, I'm a rotational piece. And he felt completely underutilized this year, not being able to play with the starters at all because Josh Hart has to play 85% of the time with Jalen Brunson. I do have a couple of stats for you I would like to share. And all of that takes place, and Deuce McBride gives these really interesting answers. And it makes me go back and reevaluate some of the Mikal Bridges answers this year that he gave during press conferences where it's like, they would ask him why he's struggling on defense this year. And he'd give an answer along the lines, and again, I'm paraphrasing because I'm not prepared enough. I apologize. I really am. But I did not expect Tom Thibodeau to be fired today. I did not expect to be going live here tonight. Throughout the year, Mikal Bridges starts to give these answers along the lines of, hey, why are you struggling on defense? I'm point of attack and I'm chasing smaller, quicker guards, and I'm just doing what the coaches are asking me to do. Oh yeah? Are you asking me to read between the lines right now? Are you telling me the coach is not putting you in a very good position to be successful defensively? Is that what you're telling me? Are you telling me maybe Deuce McBride should be starting for Josh Hart and he should be taking a majority of the time as a point of attack defender and have you on the help side with your big wingspan and jumping passing lanes and the ability to help and recover? Is that what you're telling me, Mikal Bridges? Are you asking me to read between the lines right now? Because I'll do it. I'm illiterate. I went to school. I could read between these lines, my brother. I can do that. And you ask Karl Anthony Towns, hey, Big Cat, he's struggling a little bit. You're not taking as many threes. The three-point volume's a little low. What's up with that? And he'd give a couple of answers along the lines of like, hey, man, I'm just doing what the coaches are telling me to do. It's like, what do you mean? Are you asking me to read between the lines too, Cat? Okay. I kind of like the vibe of this team. I kind of like the vibe of these new guys where they're like, hey, man, it ain't all on me. If you put me in a position that I'm unprepared for, I'm not going to do that position well, right? If you ask me to go live unprepared, I'm not going to be able to deliver you the level of content that you deserve, right? And Tom Thibodeau was asking these dudes to perform something that they were wholly unprepared for, that they were not ready for. And, I'm sure at the exit interviews, they asked them, apparently, from Ian Begley, like questions along the lines of, hey, are you part of the championship core? Is this person part of the championship core? Is this coaching staff part of the championship core? Is Tom Thibodeau part of the championship core, right? Is he a guy, in your opinion, that can lead us to a championship? And apparently, I would assume, this is an assumption from me, and a lot of them were like, probably not. And that ultimately informs Leon Rose to make a tough decision and fire Tom Thibodeau. Now, I do want to address the fact that I told a lot of you guys, if not majority of you guys, all season long, bad organizations fire coaches midseason, number one. Number two, Tom Thibodeau just signed an extension. He's unlikely to be fired at the end of the year. Number three, Leon Rose will never fire his buddy. He'll simply give him a promotion and elevate him into some role into the front office, and he'll be relieved of his head coaching duties, but he'll remain a part of the Knicks organization for years to come. I was wrong on all three fronts, because we saw good organizations fire the coaches midseason. The Denver Nuggets, the Memphis Grizzlies fired their coach midseason. Not just midseason. Literally, like, right before the playoffs. Ridiculous. Insane. But in both of those scenarios, the front office decided it's now or never, and particularly Memphis. We'll go through both of them, but particularly Memphis decided this dude Lasalo is the guy that we believe in that can take us to the next level to be a championship contending team. Taylor Jenkins is not. Time to move on from Taylor Jenkins. Now is not the correct time, but it's better now than never. Let's get him in the building. Let's get him signed before he could even interview with other places. We want him as their next head coach. Let's do it. Boom. Bam. Done. It's a risk, but anything is a risk. Drafting Facundo Dadier was a risk for the Knicks, but you know what? Sometimes you got to take a risk. In the Denver Nuggets scenario, there was growing friction and tension between the head coach and the GM and Mike Malone and Phil Booth. And eventually, I think the ownership and everybody involved was just like, both of you get out of here, your children get out of here. We're not even fully sold on Mike Malone anymore because maybe some of the players may have turned on him. Maybe Jokic was like, I don't know if I love what he's doing anymore. And they got a young, what's his name, David Adelman, right? Rick Adelman's son, David Adelman as the head coach there, who they just made the permanent head coach, by the way. They took away the interim tag. And so both of those situations happened, proving me wrong, where I said, good organizations don't fire coaches midseason. Prove me wrong. I'm wrong about that, right? Good organizations, apparently, sometimes they do. When push comes to shove and you got to do what you got to do, sometimes I guess they do, right? I don't remember what the second point I made was, but the third point I made, the second point was Tom Thibodeau just signed an extension. There's no way they fire. Well, apparently James Dolan has deep pockets and he doesn't care about the money. And he's like, go ahead, pay him $30 million to go sit on his couch. Pay him $30 million to go sit on a beach somewhere and be nowhere near this Knicks organization. I'll do that. I got money for days. I'll go do another concert in Vegas. What do I care? I got the Sphere over there in Vegas. I'm making money as I blink. I'm making money literally. I probably made $30 million sitting here during these interviews. What the hell do I care? Get him out of here if you think that's the right move. Right? That's the second thing. Boom, that's out of here. He don't care. He don't give a damn about that money. Shout out James Dolan, by the way. Shout out James Dolan. He don't give a damn about that money. Now, the third thing that I was wrong about, and I made a tweet about this, and I'll say it here. I got to stop disrespecting Leon Rose. I got to stop doing it, right? Because you guys know I've defended Leon Rose. I think he's great. I think he's phenomenal. I don't think he's made too many misses. I think the only misses that can come to my mind are three things. The Kemba Walker signing, Evan Fournier signing, and the Trevor Keels draft pick. And the Trevor Keels draft pick was a second-round pick. It's not really a big deal. Boom, get that out of here. The Kemba Walker signing was like damn near on a minimum. It was like a one-year deal, and it was kind of like, we'll take a flyer on you because we don't have a point guard. Let's take a flyer on former All-Star Kemba Walker. Didn't work out. It is what it is. The Evan Fournier one is a bad one. It's a bad move by him. Bad move. Overreacted. You live and you learn, right? As long as you don't make another mistake like that, boom, you live and you learn. Plus, he was able to get out of it, get draft picks, and opened up the space by trading Fournier, opened up cap space to get Jalen Brunson. Just saying. You make a mistake, but you can learn from it, right? Like, what do I always say? If you turn the ball over, go get it back from me on defense. If you miss a wide open layup, go get it back from me on defense, right? If you make a defensive mistake, hey, go get me a basket. Go make up for it on offense, right? So if you make a mistake, go make up for it in another area. Leon Rose did that. So he hasn't really made too many mistakes that have been detrimental to the foundational building of this franchise. So I want to give Leon Rose his props. And again, I have to stop disrespecting him because I said back in the day, there's no way he trades Julius Randle. There's no way he gets rid of Julius Randle because he has such a strong relationship with him. They're kind of familial, right? Like it goes past just player-agent relationship. Like they have a familial bond. They know each other. They love each other. Boom, bop. Dap it up all the time. Hugs. I know your family. We've broken bread together. We've had dinner. I know your kids on a first-name basis. They dap me up. They know me. I'm Uncle Leon to them. All of the things. And then, you know what? You're not helping our team. Let me ship you out of here. Damn, that's cold-blooded, Leon Rose. I didn't know you had that in you. All right, my bad. But at the same time, at the other side of my mouth, I'm talking about how Leon Rose would never, ever in his wildest dreams fire his buddy Tom Thibodeau, who he's known for 2 decades, probably longer. I don't know how far back they go, but at least 2 decades. These guys have been together forever. He's repped Tom Thibodeau as a client for forever. And we know they're buddies. We know that they've been together forever. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Right? Like, you kind of talk him down from it, and you're like, look, man, getting up there in age, you're a little old in the tooth. Like, game's kind of passing you by a little bit in terms of, like, your rigidity and the way you run your offense and kind of your simplistic defensive models and all the things. Like, maybe it's just time you come step in the front office with me, man. I'm stepping in, like, we get to spend more time together. You don't have to stress out as much. You could cut back on buying all the black hair dye, that Rogaine you be buying for them 3 strands of hair on the top of your head. You can cut back on buying those, even though I know a box lasts you about a month because you only got 3 strands of hair you're dyeing anyway. I don't know why you got to do that. But, you know, I could help you out. Come be in the front office with me or relieve your head coaching duties. It's all right. We're going to pass it off to Johnny Bryant. It's cool. Come, you know, we can hang out more. It'll be all right. That's how I thought that conversation was going to go. But apparently it was just like, hey, look, man. Catch you on the flip side, Tibbs. We moving on, buddy. God damn, Leon, that's cold-blooded again. I got to stop disrespecting him. I didn't know he had that in him. And so now, and again, this is an entire rant just on my thought process of when I read that, this is how my brain worked. I was going through all of this, and I was like, there's no way. How did that happen? And this is where I am. And so now we get here. Now I'm doing a live stream. Now I'm talking to you guys, which I haven't even really addressed any of the comments you guys have been making. We're about to get to it right now. But my goodness, what just happened? What just happened? Let's talk about it. Justice's dad was popping, my guy. Stealth Genetics, what's up, Stealth? He said the picks will never be anything McHale isn't. That's relevant at this point if Dolan will spend. Picks don't matter. We're talking about McHale. Okay, McHale Bridges and the picks. Yes, listen, I don't give a damn about the middle schoolers right now, right? Right now they're in middle school, right? They can't help the Knicks win a championship right now. And I know a lot of people are like, hey, man, if you had them picks, you can make the Giannis trade. No, you cannot. Why would Milwaukee want your trash-ass picks? Picks are not going to be good, right? Milwaukee wants to trade Giannis for young players. The Knicks don't have young players. So what you have to do is you have to go way back when the Knicks traded R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and they got rid of Obi Toppin and Quinn Grimes, right? Maybe those 4 young guys could get you Giannis. But at that point, they're not all, at this point, by the time Giannis wants out, they're not all that young anymore. And by the way, they're pretty damn expensive. So it ain't happening. The McHale trade had zero impact on a potential Giannis trade, which is not going to happen, by the way. It's not going to happen. Stove Genetic said, McHale is cool. The deal was nuts. Bridges didn't ask for 5 picks. He did not. He did not. Also, Mikal Bridges didn't ask to be put in the position that he was in. Didn't ask to be put in the position he was in, right? We've heard Mikal Bridges complain about this coaching staff before. Kind of, maybe not inadvertently, but subtly, definitely complained about this coaching staff and some of the positions he was being put in time and time again. And honestly, he didn't do well in the position he was put in. So maybe at some point, Tom Thibodeau should have pulled him to the side, like, hey, man, why are you struggling? Like, what am I doing wrong? Am I putting you in a bad position? Like, a conversation like that should have happened. And it didn't. Tom Thibodeau's a dinosaur, and he's like, nope, you just got to be better. Like, I'm not good at this. Well, you just have to learn to be good at it. Like, that's not how coaching should be. Not how coaching should be. Again, we'll get more into it. Yak said, first mistake was Mitch out playing Sims over developing Huckporty. Oh, when Mitch was out, playing Sims over developing Huckporty. That was his first mistake? I'm kind of on that one. Mostly because Sims was fine. Sims was good. He was serviceable. He was definitely better than Huckporty at the time. Huckporty's a rookie just coming in and whatnot. Actually, I don't know if I would say definitely. They're kind of on the same level. So you got me there. They're kind of on the same level, especially at that time. But playing Sims, who you knew didn't have much of a future with your organization, considering he got traded at the deadline, and it was rumored he was going to be traded from very early in the season on, over developing Huckporty, who you know is probably going to be in your system for a while. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I could push back on it a little bit in the sense that, like, maybe you wanted to build up Sims' value a little bit. It did get you DeLon Ray, who was a pivotal role guy in the Pacers series. Just wish he would have played a little bit earlier, but so I'll push back on that a little bit. The only I'm with you in the sense that when they eventually did trade Jericho Sims, it was like a month and a half period before Mitchell Robinson got back, and we played Precious Achiuwa over Ariel Huckporty when Precious Achiuwa was more of a forward and didn't give you much value in the regular season on a minute-to-minute basis versus what Huckporty could have brought you, because it could have also helped prepare Karl-Anthony Towns to play with a center in Tom Thibodeau's system. When Mitchell Robinson got back, knowing that that's a lineup you're going to want to go to, like, it just, we talked about Tom Thibodeau's issues all season long about not being able to plan for the playoffs. Like, that man, it felt like he was prioritizing the regular season over prioritizing the playoffs. And that's just a short-sighted man. It was very short-sighted this year. Knicks fan said, Michael Malone a candidate. No, he is not. By all accounts and all reports so far, Michael Malone is not interested in the Knicks, and the Knicks are not interested in Michael Malone. Michael Malone will not be the head coach of the New York Knicks. I feel very confident in saying that is a extremely low possibility, if not completely impossible. David Haas Jr., what's up, David? David said, my family told you Tibbs was gone. Oh, he said, hey, family told you Tibbs was gone. A lot of people did, and I pushed back on it. You have to also be surprised, though, David. Are you not surprised that it did happen? David said, I like Johnny Bryant, but I don't see Tibbs in Denver. Tibbs is not going to that. Denver already hired their coach. Yak said, we played Huckporty, who got hurt. Huckporty did get hurt. Are you saying, like, in that we were playing Huckporty and then he got hurt? I'm pretty sure they were playing Precious Achiuwa over Huckporty, and we all had an issue with it. I'm pretty sure that at no point was Huckporty a part of the regular rotation. He only filled in during injury time. David said, was JB notified and did he agree? I can't I can neither confirm nor deny. I have no inside information. The only information I have are from people like Ian Begley. And what Ian Begley has said is that this was a Leon Rose decision. Whether Jalen Brunson was notified about, like, hey, are you okay with us doing it? I have no idea. I'm sure that when they decided to do it, they called up Brunson and they said, hey, look, this is what we're doing, just to let you know before we put it out to the public. I'm sure that is how the conversation went. Stove Genetic said, no Malone, no Nash, no Sam Cassell, please. I'm in complete agreement about Malone. Mike Malone is another Tom Thibodeau. If they hire Mike Malone, they should have just kept Tom Thibodeau, because what's the difference? Tom Thibodeau, you at least know is good and had already had success in your franchise already and has the relationship with Leon Rose that Mike Malone does not. Why would you do that? Mike Malone, no. Nash, Steve Nash has not proven to be a good head coach yet. He does not appear that he is super interested in being a head coach, considering he is now podcasting with LeBron. Now maybe he's just taking the JJ Redick path. Who knows? But he was already a head coach with Brooklyn and then did not seem to pursue any other head coaching opportunity. So I'm agree with you on no Nash. No Sam Cassell is interesting to me, Stealth, because I don't know, Sam Cassell's kind of paid his dues. Seems like a really good assistant, really valued assistant. Why not interview him at least? Maybe bring him over as an assistant? I don't know. David said Greg Pops on the radar? Brother, if he had to step down as being the head coach of the Spurs, why would he be the head coach of the Knicks? Dog, he's not physically capable anymore. He had a stroke. He is not physically capable of being a head coach anymore. David House Jr. said Johnny Bryant. Johnny Bryant is the name to watch out for. Everyone's been talking about it. Stubb Gen X said Huck will get a shot this year. He should. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if he will, considering that you have Towns and Robinson. But if you start Robinson at the 5 and you have Towns at the 4, then maybe Huck Porty's your backup 5. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because if you have Robinson at the 5, Anthony Towns at the 4, and you sub Robinson out, Towns moves to the 5, you bring in another smaller wing, like maybe a Deuce McBride, and then you move Anunoby to the 4. And then eventually you take Towns out and you put Robinson back in. I feel like you only need 2 centers, and then you just kind of need wings to fill in the 4 spot when that happens. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see with how the roster kind of shakes out. East, what's up, East? Do you think Bronny would be an upgrade over McBride? I do not, brother. I do not. I know you're just trolling, but I do not. Justice Dad said Ewing on the bench. I highly doubt it. Justice is dead. He has a role with the Knicks or in the organization already. He's collecting a paycheck from them. I don't know why he would collect a paycheck where he has to actually do work. Like, I don't know. Just he seems like he's good in retirement. He gets to hang around the Knicks. I think he's fine. I think he's fine where he's at. Next said Spoelstra an assistant? No. Spoelstra is a head coach. If Spoelstra comes over to the Knicks, it would be as the head coach, which is a conspiracy theory I would have, reliving Pat Riley leaving the Knicks for Miami, and then you have Spoelstra, the heir apparent to Pat Riley, leaving Miami to come to the Knicks. Would be a tremendous basketball story that I would love. I highly doubt it's going to happen, though. But you never know. Miami is in a state of flux right now where they don't really know what's going on. Yak said, it won't be Mark Jackson either. He was going to call away games that Clyde didn't make and canceled him before the season started. Most likely still blackballed. I don't think Mark Jackson was ever blackballed, Yak. I think it was simply people didn't like working with him, and that kind of made the rounds. And it wasn't because he was blackballed. They were just like, oh, okay, he's kind of a jerk to work with. Cool, we won't hire him. It's not like he was all that great as a head coach anyway. So I don't think he was blackballed. I think that's an excuse to give him for not being a very good head coach. And not being a very likable person. Also, it was announced that Mark Jackson was going to call games for MSG on some of the away games, like you said, until that deal was kind of reneged and canceled, mostly because I believe somebody who works with MSG also heard that news and was like, I'm not working with Mark Jackson. And then I was like, why not? And then a lot of stuff got resurfaced, and they were like, oh, Mark Jackson's a jerk to work with? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're good, Mark Jackson. We're good. Actually, we'll get Jamal Crawford, who everybody loves, and was phenomenal when he did the away games filling in for Clyde. So kind of all worked out anyway. Self-Genetic said Sam won't make the cut. Leon won't bet on him. He's going to have to bet on somebody. Like, even if it's Johnny Bryant, he's going to have to bet on him. I told you guys a very long time ago, the way I phrased it is this will be Leon Rose's, this is another tweet I made, this will be Leon Rose's biggest gamble of his career so far. Of these 5 years that he's been the president. This will be the biggest gamble because it'll be bigger than Towns, it'll be bigger than Bridges, it'll be bigger than trading for Hart, it'll be bigger than signing Brunson, it will be bigger than hiring Tom Thibodeau initially, it'll be bigger than all of those things combined. Because if this doesn't work out, if he hires a head coach and this head coach turns out, if he hires Johnny Bryant and Johnny Bryant turns out to be a worse head coach than Tom Thibodeau or a less inventive coach than Tom Thibodeau and it blows up in flames and they're maybe a play-in team next year or whatever, right? Then people will stop looking at the head coach and stop looking at the players on the roster, start looking at the president. He squarely put himself in harm's way because he thinks this is the best way to go for a championship, which I think is admirable. It's also ballsy. We'll see which way it goes. So it's going to be a bet either way, Stealth. It's going to be a bet either way. Keith Modeste said Game 1 Pacers lost CA. Game 1 Pacers, Game 1 will live on in infamy in Knicks history, in NBA history, in basketball history, in Tom Thibodeau's life, and Leon Rose's life, and all the players' lives, because if they win Game 1, who knows how the rest of the series goes? Obviously, mentality shift, vibe shift, confidence shifts, all the things, but who knows how it goes? But either way, Game 1 will live in infamy forever. Did it cost Tom Thibodeau his job? No, I think the rigidity in which Tom Thibodeau coaches cost his job. I do. David said Pat Ewing was traveling with the team. Maybe he was probably traveling with he works for the team. He works for the team already. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. Patrick Ewing works for the team. He's like an ambassador of whatever. They gave him like a title, just any title. Like, give him a title, give him a paycheck. Why is Pat Ewing not around the organization? Give him a paycheck. He's not coaching anymore, right? He's not coaching Georgetown? All right, come hang out with us, Pat. He works with players in practice already. He doesn't need the title of assistant coach or anything like that to hang around the team. Because once you give him the title of assistant coach, he has to travel to every game. Right? Why would you do that? Just, here's the title, hang around the organization. You want to go to practice? Go to practice. You want to help players? You want to help players. You want to talk to them on the side? Go talk to them on the side. But he doesn't have that official title of assistant coach. He doesn't need that. AP said, I think it'll be Johnny Bryant. I do too, AP. I do too. But this, actually, let me pull up Twitter while I'm talking to you guys. Let's keep an eye out on what Phoenix is doing. If there's any information on Phoenix that comes up, let me know. But yeah, I said Ewing wasn't great for Georgetown. He was not. But I'll keep an eye on, see if anything happens to Phoenix. Because if Phoenix announces that they hired Johnny Bryant, where did the Knicks go? What is their plan? Was their plan always Johnny Bryant? Does their plan shift? Does it mess with their plan? Who knows? I don't know. I assume, but Subject's the only other 4 or 5 under contracts will be PJ today. The only other 4 or 5s is Robinson's on the contract, Towns is on the contract, Porty's on the contract. I think you're just saying, are you just saying self-dramatic Precious Achiuwa is gone? I tend to agree. F. Cena said Mark Jackson is the man. There's a lot of people who very heavily disagree with you, who worked with the man. Do not like Mark Jackson. Justice's dad said, my bet Darvin Ham, Bucks, assistant coach, plus 1,200. Darvin Ham, brother, did you watch him coach the Lakers? It was awful. David said, no way, Mark Jackson. I tend to agree with you. Madrasi Travel Trainer said Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell is an interesting name. Here's the thing. If they hire a rookie head coach like Johnny Bryant, it's going to be when you hire a rookie head coach like that, you have to bring in veteran voices. to be assistants, to kind of help guide a new head coach, even if they have experience in coaching staffs, help guide a new head coach through the process. So it'll be very interesting who he looks to fill his assistant coaching bench with. It'll be very interesting. Also, the other interesting thing is what happens with Rick Brunson, who is your best players, your franchise stars' father. What happens with Rick Brunson? Does he stick around? Is he just automatically an assistant with any coach who comes in? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Namar said, I think the Suns make a decision by 10 p.m. That's my guess. Well, 10 p.m. in Phoenix is... Well, 10 p.m. Eastern is 7 p.m. in Phoenix. So that would make sense. That's around press release time, but I don't know. Jack Franzino said, LOL, Johnny Bryant. I'm not very well versed on the coaching options. This caught me by surprise at work. Me too, Jack. I will tell you, the Knicks will likely hire a rookie head coach here. It's not going to be Malone. It's not going to be Budenholzer. It's not going to be who is the head coach of Memphis, Taylor Jenkins. It's not going to be any of these guys who have been head coaches before. It'll likely be a young, fresh-faced assistant coach who's ready to take the next step, and the Knicks are going to make a huge bet on that, and we'll see. Nick Yak said Leon doesn't show his hand. We have just been shocked finding out on his moves. True, very true. Did not expect the Mikal Bridges trade to happen. Did not expect the Karl-Anthony Towns trade to happen. Did not see the Josh Hart trade happening when it happened. We knew a trade was incoming. Did not think it was going to be Josh Hart. Who or any other surprise trades? There's been a couple. Did not see the OG Anunoby trade happening. Who they made a trade with a franchise they were actively suing. How does that happen? Right? David said Rick Brunson out. Who knows, man? Maybe Jalen Brunson puts his foot down and he's like, yeah, you're not firing my dad. What do you do then? What if Jalen Brunson looks Leon Rose in the eyes and he says, I dare you? What do you do then? Keep him around? I'm not saying that I think that would happen, but what do you do if it does? What do you do if it does? Just Dad said it's going to be a lame coach, whoever they pick. I don't know, man. We're just going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to see their coaching staff. Jack Franzino said, I feel like most vet coaches got fired for a reason. Maybe there are some decent ones who can run offense outside of ISOs. Coaches get fired for a multitude of reasons. It's not always because they did a bad job. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. Sometimes those head coaches are good at a specific thing before moving on to do something else, right? D. Grant, what's up, D. Grant? Yeah, I felt this day was coming because I heard Dolan was so pissed off they knew something was going down. I don't know where you heard that from, D. Grant, but James Dolan was a very happy man. James Dolan got made a ton of money off this playoff run. He's made a ton of money off of Tom Thibodeau, helping this team make deep playoff runs time and time again. And so I don't think he was angry at all. I don't know where you heard that from, but I have not heard that at all from any of the credible reporters who have come out and said that this is almost entirely a Leon Rose decision. The only involvement James Dolan has was he has final say on any decision that's made. And so when Leon Rose said, I think it's time to fire Tom Thibodeau, James Dolan said, that's what you think is correct, then go ahead and do it. And I believe that is the only involvement James Dolan has had. Mar said, I'm hearing rumors out there. Suns finalist is Jordan OTT tweets that I have seen. Let me go through Twitter. And see. See anything about the Phoenix Suns, anything about Johnny Bryant. I mean, no. Nothing has come out yet. Let me type in, I don't know, Suns. See if that comes up. See if anything comes up about the Suns. Very interesting that the Knicks let Tibbs go today with the news of Johnny Bryant emerging as serious contender for the Suns job the past few days. Time will tell if they did it. How are we feeling? The Knicks bring him in. Okay, nothing really. Yeah, nothing definitive yet. Other than Phoenix is also looking to trade Kevin Durant, which is something that has also come up. Clovins DeRace. What's up, Clovins? I think it is Johnny Bryant. The timing of the Tibbs firing, Johnny Bryant being a finalist for the Suns head coaching job. He's 39 years old and has familiarity with the organization. Completely agree with you, Clov. Completely agree with you. It just makes sense. Like I said in my diatribe to start the show, there is a reason when the organization hired Johnny Bryant, and it was the organization, it was Leon Rose, it was not Tom Thibodeau who hired Johnny Bryant. It was Leon Rose who said, hey Tibbs, here's your new assistant. We just hired him, right? So when Leon Rose hired Johnny Bryant away from Utah, he gave him the title of associate head coach. He didn't give him the title of assistant coach. He gave him the title of associate head coach, which is a fancy way of saying assistant to the head coach, right? But there's a reason why he gave him a special title. Kind of signaling, here's the next guy in line, everybody. Now, I assume Johnny Bryant, partly in taking the assistant coaching job in New York, 1, it's a bigger market. 2, he gets his name out there. 3, he gets to learn under Tom Thibodeau, right, after learning under Quinn Snyder. But 4, maybe a little bit of a promise of like, hey, we can't guarantee you when it'll happen, but when it happens, you will be the first guy we call about interviewing for this job, right? We're not going to guarantee handing it to you, but you will be the first guy in line to get the interview for the next head coach of the New York Knicks, which is a huge job in the NBA. You are the head coach of one of the preeminent franchises in the NBA. Like the 3 biggest markets in the NBA, the 3 biggest teams that everybody knows: Los Angeles Lakers, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks. And now you can throw Golden State Warriors in there as well because of Steph Curry. But we'll see what happens with the Golden State Warriors franchise when Steph Curry retires and fades into obscurity. See what happens with that organization. Will they kind of come back down to reality, or will they remain as a preeminent franchise in the league? We'll see. But the 3 that have been there for years and will continue to be there, whether they're good or they're bad, and we know this because the Knicks were bad for 20 years and they were still up there: the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Lakers. Mo Peace, what's up, Mo? It still starts from up top. Up top has been phenomenal. Like I went through before, Leon Rose has not made a mistake. He's made 3 mistakes and he recovered from all 3 of them. Kemba Walker signing, Evan Fournier signing, and Trevor Keel's second-round draft pick. He recovered from all 3 of those, right? None of them have hampered his ability to put together this contending team. So from up top, he's done his part. And the players, for the most part, have done their part. Jalen Brunson has elevated himself to a superstar status. Karl-Anthony Towns had a really good year this year, right? OG Anunoby had a really good year this year. Josh Hart probably had a career year this year, even with all his faults, right? Deuce McBride elevated himself to be like legit 6th man on a team. Mitchell Robinson has elevated himself to being one of the best defensive centers in the league. Like, time and time again, these players are like, hey, we're good enough. And the only piece of the puzzle that seems like, I don't know if this is the right piece, like we're kind of trying to force that piece in there, but it's not really fitting too well, is the head coach piece. They finally pulled the trigger. D. Grant said, yeah, I heard it through ESPN that Dolan was so pissed that the Knicks did not beat the Pacers. But you can't trust ESPN anymore, brother. That's an entertainment channel. That's not reporting. Who are the reporters who said that? You can't trust ESPN anymore, man. They literally fired all their journalists. When they fired Zach Lowe and then extended Kendrick Perkins. You can't Kendrick Perkins got on the air and was like, I heard James Dolan was angry. Like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. Right? Begley would have told us. Popper would have told us. Bondi would have told us. James Edward III would have told us. Fred Katz would have told us. And none of them said anything about James Dolan. So, no, it did not happen. Yeah, I said Dolan 2 months ago said, I know my place now. It's in Leon's hands, and it's a 4-year plan. Yeah, literally, people mentioning James Dolan name, like, tell me one thing he's done with this team over the past 8 years. Literally can't name one. You literally can't name one, right? We can go back 10 years. The only thing he's done is fire the president of basketball operations when they did a bad job. That's the only time he's ever intervened on the team. He said a decade ago, I don't want to be involved anymore. I know my place. I want to hand it to somebody to make the basketball decisions for me because clearly I'm not good at that. That's a very smart dude. A very smart dude, right? To look yourself in the mirror and be like, you know what? I'm just not good at this. How about you do it? You do it. Here's the job. You do it. I'll sign the checks. I'll get out of the way. He gave it to Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was the wrong guy to give it to. That's the bad decision he made. He gave it to the wrong guy. Phil Jackson did not want the job, but he offered him a contract he couldn't refuse. Phil Jackson did a terrible job. Eventually, he fired him, and he gave it to his buddy Steve Mills. Steve Mills, you're my buddy. We've been buddies forever. Please get us out of the doghouse. Just make us not terrible. Please make us not terrible. Steve Mills was terrible. Steve Mills did not do a good job. Eventually, he fired Steve Mills, and then he brought in Leon Rose. And thankfully, Leon Rose is good at the job. He has not stepped in to do anything. Madrasi Travel Trainer said, who should back up Brunson next year? Let's figure out the head coach first. Chris Paul is a name that's come up. Tyler Kolek is a name that will be brought up. Deuce McBride will be a name that will be brought up. We'll see. 25-26 champ said Tibbs was done dirty. I'm sure the players feel like they were done dirty by Tom Thibodeau. Like, I don't know if Tibbs was done dirty. I don't. He's getting $30 million to go lay on the beach, brother. Just Dad said ESPN journalists were cracking stories about their VPs and execs. There are no ESPN journalists anymore. They do not exist, man. They do not exist anymore. They fired them all so they can pay Stephen A. Smith $100 million. Self-Generic said, have to believe in the guy that got JB. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. David said, Tibbs did the best job he can, but he leveled out. For Tom Thibodeau, he did the best job he could. I thought this was the worst coaching job Tom Thibodeau did in his career. This was not a team that he understood. He just did not understand the talent on this team. He did not understood how to get into the next level. He banged his head against the brick wall that was, just keep doing this, just keep doing this, just keep doing this. I know it'll work. It never worked. And so eventually he relented in the playoffs, and it was far too little and far too late. Namar said there were tweets out there the Suns met with both candidates. Evan Sidery put the tweet out 9:05. I did see that, Namar. I did see that tweet that they met with both candidates, and I did see a tweet, and I don't know how credible it is, but I did see a tweet that the Suns have decided on who their next head coach is, and they will be, and they notified both coaches already who they decided to go with. I would have assumed that they would have just made that public, but maybe they're waiting for an answer because maybe they chose Johnny Bryant, and maybe Johnny Bryant was like, "Let me get back to you on that. I'm not going to say yes to the job yet. Thank you for offering me the job." Right? Who knows? Who knows? I would assume that if you decided on who your head coach is, you would just make that public so that you can ink the paper. Apparently, maybe they decided, but nobody signed a contract yet. We will see. We will see. There is a stat I do want to show you guys. I screen capped it on my. Hold on. I do want to play this. This is a tweet. Can I do this? I can do this. Do this. Oh, hey, look, there's that. Oh, I went live twice. What if I got rid of that? All right, we're good. Yeah, we're good. All right, cool. Let me do that. We got this. Let me leave that here. Let me show you guys this. Let's do this. Let's listen to Johnny Bryant. This is from JD Sports Talk. My man JD. My man JD from Knicks Fan TV. You guys know him. you guys know. This is his tweet he put out, Johnny Bryant, on why elite spacing isn't just about shooting. So this is Johnny Bryant's philosophy on spacing in basketball, right? So let's listen to it. Hold on. If I play it, you can hear me talk, but I don't want you to hear me talk. I want you to.
Cleveland has thrived on these concepts, and Cavs associate head coach Johnny Bryant helped us break down why.
How do you get ahead of, today's game, right? So everybody knows how to play pick and roll and guard that and, switch that. And, you've seen teams kind of get away from that. So it's more screening off ball. If you can move without the basketball and give the defense something different, it's definitely advantageous for your offense, and it allows you to be a little bit more efficient because, again, you're getting to the rim with the cut.
On this play, their center initiates to open up the lane, so a great backdoor cut leads to a wide open layup. But it's the weak side players who are key.
With this 5-out spacing, if you pause it here, right, we're occupying the weak side. You see George flaring on the weak side just to bring Taurean Prince out of the weak side low man position. So now the rim is wide open with Sam. Going backdoor.
Notice that he said 5-out spacing, but only one Cav is outside the line, because it's not about dotting the arc and standing still. Here, Cleveland pitches it into a middle pick and roll. At the same time, George Niang cuts baseline out of the corner to the other side, and that opens a pocket for a Donovan Mitchell 3.
The focus is moving out the basketball, right? So in order for Cares to be able to get to the paint, if Donovan stays there, his man is going to help, right? And the driving gap is not as big. But because Donovan is the player that he is, teams are not going to leave him. So you see just right there, he goes, denies Donovan. So now there's a driving lane, but he turns his back to the basketball so he can't see where the pass is made. And now Donovan goes and fills the corner from where George just cut from.
Here's another one with 5-out spacing to start. Then suddenly there are 3 Cavs in the paint and it's a dunk. And this time it was Evan Mobley with that baseline cut.
Just philosophically, anytime your man turns their head, it's a great opportunity to cut. It was George in the last possession. You see Jalen Johnson, he's worried about the basketball, and you see naturally he thinks that he's gonna go back out to the corner, and Evan, he just follows his man right to the paint, and we end up getting the dunk.
And everyone moves on this play to respace and occupy defenders.
Just the gravity of Donovan, he pulls the defense with him, right? So now, in certain situations, we can use him as a decoy, again, to open up a driving gap and a scoring opportunity.
Use your star player as a decoy? Something we've asked for, all of us have asked for all year long. Like, hey, maybe the ball doesn't have to be in Jalen Brunson's hands in order for him to be effective. Use your star player as a decoy? Did I just hear future Knicks head coach Johnny Bryant say that? Whoa, maybe Mikal Bridges can be unlocked. Whoa. Let's listen to Johnny Bryant some more. Future Knicks head coach Johnny Bryant.
Opportunity for everyone else on the floor.
These shifts and repositions can be subtle but profound. Darius Garland suddenly bursts into the lane for a sweet lob, but his teammates' re-spacing really makes the magic. Ty Jerome moves along the baseline. That allows the wing to slide to the corner, which tugs his defender, Cason Wallace, right out of Garland's path. And the chef's kiss is Isaac Okoro lifting up along the arc to freeze Shea and give Allen space to catch it. This is even more subtle, and at first just looks like Mitchell doing crazy things that almost no one else can do. But his teammates' reads create the spacing here.
Again, we talked about pickup points, right? So they're picking him up at half court. George.
Decoy, Justices, that decoy. It's almost as if your star player can be just as effective without the ball in their hands. Let's listen to future head coach Johnny Bryant some more.
Sets that screen much high up on the floor. J.A., he's
Yak said if he believes in off-ball screens, hire him. It certainly sounds like it, doesn't it? It certainly sounds like it, doesn't it, Yak? That he believes in these off-ball screens tremendously. Let's continue to listen to future Knicks head coach Johnny Bryant.
it. So now J.A. drifts a little bit, and Giannis is going with J.A. And because Taurean Prince is so far back, it's ahead of steam. Donovan's coming with force, attack like he's going one way, turns him around, and now he finishes at the rim. And that's just...
That play right there is also evident of how the Knicks could have attacked the Pacers' full court pressure, back screens in the backcourt or at half court to allow your ball handler, if they were in drop, to allow Brunson more room to operate, considering that Nembhard and Nesmith were stuck to him like glue. But also, Jared Allen is a better screener than anybody, than Karl-Anthony Towns, who's usually the screen setter. The Knicks have to get better setting screens. That's one thing.
His God-given ability right there.
Yeah. And this play ties together a bunch of these ideas, where the big initiates the action, then there's a ton of free-flowing movement and repositioning by the off-ball players, and that's what generates a ton of space to attack and drive into.
The more moving parts, the more chance for error, right? So the more variety we can have in
the more moving parts, the more chances you have of breaking down the defense. Right? Jalen Brunson is brilliant with the basketball in his hands. Karl-Anthony Towns is brilliant with the basketball in his hands. A little less so than Brunson. But Brunson is brilliant with the basketball in his hands. And if you just get out of his way and tell him, hey, go get me a bucket, probably get you a bucket 5 times out of 10, 6 times out of, like 50% of the time, 60% of the time, which is a pretty good rate. Probably do that. Really tiring to do that. Really tiring to do that time and time again offensively. And then be asked to defend at a respectable level when you are in charge of every offensive possession and then all of a sudden you're being targeted on every defensive play, right? Because he's Jalen Brunson and he's small, he's going to be targeted every single time. And so he's involved in every defensive play, and then he's asked to carry the burden that he's asked to carry offensively. And it's like, at what point does this guy start to break down? At what point does he not have the legs to blow past his defender who's pressing him full court? At what point do the jump shots start to come up short? You know, like maybe don't put that level of burden on a player who you know you're going to be reliant on to carry the load offensively. Maybe don't do that during the regular season, and majority of the time he's on the court.
The possession, stop it. So there was a pick and roll there with Evan on the initial inverted pick and roll. Now, that's one action. Here's another action. Handoff, right? Now he comes off. There's another handoff with a screen. So that's 2 handoffs you have to guard. Here's the 4th, just quick pitch. That's 4, and we open up a driving gap. You know, you have 4 different actions and 1 possession. That's
that play he just showed there is a play that Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges can run on the strong side the way you just saw, where Towns is pitching it and handing it off to Mikal Bridges on a couple of separate occasions, gets him open. Mikal Bridges cuts into the lane, pitches it out to Brunson. Brunson gets the wide open lane and knocks down the floater the way Garland did there. That's one way to leverage Jalen Brunson as a decoy, but also then have him be the play finisher and get him an easy basket, something he rarely gets under Tom Thibodeau. Especially he never gets when playing against actual good teams.
Tough to guard, right? That's tough to guard.
So you have 5 players making reads on the possession, with Sam Merrill cutting, Niang reading those cuts to stay in the corner or lift up. Okoro spots his defender helping in a driving lane and cuts to the opposite side to pull him out of the way, and Garland's constantly looking for daylight to move into himself.
You have to read the guy in front of you, right? You have to read what he's doing. So it would have been perfect if on that dribble with Sam, if DG would have started cutting, just like the clip with Donovan, right? Could have had a catch and shoot 3 opportunity, because again, you see his man head is turned, right? But he still get to it, and because DeLon Wright is worried about Sam 3-point shooting, he doesn't switch it, and it's an opportunity for DG to come up and turn the corner.
All that action is doing is confusing the defense. Is running multiple actions so that the defense has to constantly communicate and constantly think, am I switching? Am I hedging? Am I staying? Am I going? What's going on here? Right? That is the genesis of what that offensive system is about, right? The constant movement. All it is essentially what the Pacers did. Is we're going to run so many actions that we're going to frazzle your brains. You're going to forget I was supposed to switch, and I hedged, and then we both left Halliburton, who's standing wide open on the left wing, for a 3. Because I thought I was hedging and recovering, you thought I was switching, and then we both went with the roll man, and now Halliburton's standing there wide open. How does Tyrese Halliburton, the best player on the Pacers, end up wide open when he had the ball in his hands for 10 seconds? How does he end up wide open for a 3? Because we were so preoccupied with he's been hitting pocket passes, he's been getting handoffs, he's been coming off, pitching it out, relocating, moving it around, swinging it around to the other side, then coming baseline, then coming back out to the top, getting it, running another pick and roll. And so many actions have happened over the past 20 seconds that I don't even remember. Are we switching everything? Are we not? Am I hedging out? What are we doing? Like, I'm supposed to be switching when it's involved with Anunoby or Bridges, but I'm hedging when it's involved with Towns and Robinson. Who is involved in this play now? Because now you've done switched onto him, and he's done switched onto him, and so now all the matchups are difficult. What are we doing again? And that's on one offensive play. You do that over a 7-game series, you have no idea what's going on anymore, and you're just guessing. And that's when the communication falls apart, right? And all that is shown is that he understands what it means to play modern basketball in 2025. That's all that is showcasing. He understands what it means. Because that's very clearly not principles that were evident in Tom Thibodeau's offensive system of give the ball to Jalen Brunson and let him go to work, or give the ball to Karl Anthony Towns and let him go to work. David said Johnny Bryant's already talking to the Knicks. We literally have no information on that, brother. Yak said, I like how he showed the right play on a missed basket. It's all about process, right, Yak? It's all about process. Whether you make the shot or you miss the shot, it is 1,000% about the process, right? Did you make the right play? Did you make the right read? What could have been better on the read? Because whether you make the shot, you make or miss. Right? It's a make or miss league. You can make the shot, you can miss the shot, whatever. But if you're making the right play, you were thinking the game through, and you were making the correct process, nobody is going to be upset with that. Nobody is going to be upset. The coach is not going to be upset. The fan base is not going to be upset. Your teammates are not going to be upset with you as long as you make the right play and you communicate it with your teammates. David Osh Jr. said, Johnny Bryant, Mike Woodson, head assistant. Why wouldn't Mike Woodson want to come back to be an assistant, brother? David said, all this just shows our 2 players play no defense. I'm not sure you know what you're looking at, brother. I don't know how easier it can be explained to you. You literally had somebody explain to you why what was working is what worked. Literally explained to you the process, and you were like, that's just bad defense. Literally explained to you the process. David said, you got the Thunder in 4. I think it's probably going to be 5, if not 6, if the Thunder could have, not Thunder, the Pacers could have a game where they just go nuclear from 3, from the perimeter, where, Nembhard's in shots, Neesmith's in shots, Halliburton's in shots, Turner's in shots, Siakam's in shots. Like, they could have a game where it's like, oh, we just out offense you today. That could happen, but Thunder, to me, are winning it. If not 5, then in 6. Jordan Oot was the other candidate for the Phoenix Suns job, along with Johnny Bryant. Hopefully it's Jordan Oot. Hopefully it's the Ootman. But again, no information. No information yet. The other person that is a long shot, that is a pipe dream, that is unlikely to happen, that I feel like should be mentioned, is Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra, highly regarded as one of, if not the best coach in the NBA right now, is kind of toiling away in a Miami situation that doesn't seem like it's got light at the end of the tunnel right now. You got Hero and Bam as your 2 best players, and that seems like that's got a pretty obvious cap to it. Can they flip that into, once again, becoming a legitimate contending team? Do you tear it down, trade those guys for assets, and then look to rebuild and be bad and look to get a high draft pick? Is Eric Spoelstra down for that? Is he looking forward to doing that? Who knows? But it don't hurt to give the man a call and say, hey, look, years ago, Pat Riley did New York dirty because he did not project that the Knicks organization was going to be moving in the right direction in the future, and took the money and the leverage of working for Miami because they were a new franchise and they could offer him more, versus the Knicks, who were an established franchise and couldn't offer him nearly what he wanted to be offered. But ultimately, he didn't particularly love the direction of the team. Now, history could repeat itself in a different way, where the protege to Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, who's proven to be one of, if not the best coach in the NBA, could look at the Miami situation and look at the situation with an aging Pat Riley and go, I don't know about this anymore. I don't. But that Knicks situation with Leon Rose seems robust. Seems like they've got a plan. Seems like they're really capable of maneuvering around the minutia of this new CBA and bringing in talent that seems like it was impossible at one time to grab. Maybe I might want to go to New York, bigger market. Maybe I actually start winning some of these Coach of the Year awards. I believe Eric Spoelstra has never won that award. Maybe he's got one. I don't remember. But Yak said Riley would try to prevent us getting his coach. He can try. He can try. But it's not impossible. And I think it's just worth a call. Highly unlikely. Highly improbable. Not out of the question. You give him a call. You give him a call. Roland Chestnut with the Roland. Steve Kerr or Curry as player coach. Good luck, brother. I don't think that's not happening. Namar said, I'm refreshing my Twitter also. I'm also refreshing my Twitter. I'm with you, Namar. I'm with you. The only name I've heard of a player making the jump to being a head coach is Chris Paul, who is 39 years old now, 38, 39, something like that, on the cusp of 40. Could possibly be looking to be a head coach at some point in his career. I don't know if that's now, but Maybe said Pat Riley's 80 years old. He's about to hang it up. I don't know. I think he will do this until he passes. I don't think so. I don't think he's about to hang it up. I don't think he ever hangs it up. Why would he hang it up? Why would he do that? Yak said Kerr runs the exact offense Tibbs does. He does not. He does not. I don't know if I've ever watched the Warriors play and thought, this is exactly what the Knicks run. They run far more off-ball movement. They popularized running off-ball movement with Curry. The difference is that their offense works almost solely because of Curry. Almost solely because of Curry and Draymond, kind of together as a tandem. And you have seen the cracks in it when you take away Klay Thompson, right? So his offensive system is not prepared for a team without both of those guys. Just that said, summer layup lines and 3-man weaves without a head coach. And just stay in shape. Just stay in shape. That's why you have training camps. Just stay in shape. Just stay in shape. We'll be all right. Just that said, Yanks about the win. Rodon was very good. Leader good. Devin good. Devin's the dude getting Weaver time. That's good. That's good. All things in New York are healing. We're healing, right? Liberty's still undefeated. Yankees won. I don't know what happened with the Mets today, but I do know Soto is starting to play a little bit better, last I heard. Am I wrong about that? Yak said read and react offense. Brunson said that. It is a read and react offense, but it's not like they have sets that they get into. It's not plays, but it's sets. There are certain areas on the court that players occupy. But you do not see Steph Curry go one-on-one in the same way that Brunson does. The Knicks' read and react offense is solely based off of individual one-on-one brilliance. The Warriors' read and react offense is based off of off-ball movement and leveraging the three-point threat of Steph Curry, right? The three-point spacing that he provides. Almost every NBA offensive system is a read and react system, but there are different ways of implementing that and different sets to implement to leverage the players that you have, right? Kerr leverages Steph Curry's brilliance, especially in his prime and even later in his career, with how far he can stretch the defense and how much attention he can bring just by his off-ball movement to free up other players to cut back door. And that also works because Draymond is a good hub out of the high post and he can deliver backdoor passes and whatnot. And so that's why that works. Their read and react offense is much different than the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau's read and react offense has been. Raymond Vasquez, appreciate you, Raymond. Yeah, we're kind of winding down. We're gonna hop off here. It's 9:40. It's almost bedtime, y'all. It's almost bedtime. So we got to hop off here at some point. I think we've covered pretty much everything we wanted to cover. And again, I apologize because I was wholly unprepared for today's stream, but I had to come on and I had to rant to you guys for a little bit. But yeah, like I said, it's being taught in this situation. You do this in this situation, you do that instead of a set play. Yeah, set plays are kind of reserved for like start of the game, start of halftime, after timeouts, inbounds, right? And players very rarely are coming down calling a set play, right? Instead, they call these offensive sets where it's like, okay, we're going to run this thing where two big men, like horns, right? Where two big men will come up, they'll set the screen. I will decide, am I going left? Am I going right? Maybe we practiced before and I always go right. Maybe it's just I will decide, and if I'm coming left, that means you're rolling and you're popping, or you're rolling and you're popping, or you're coming up, or you're cutting. So it's kind of these sets, and off of those sets, you read and react, right? And so the Knicks read and react offense is different because their read and react offense is to get the ball to Jalen Brunson or Karl Anthony Towns in a spot on the court where they're comfortable, where they can isolate. And then you read and react to the defense because if you're guarding me one-on-one, you can't guard me one-on-one. So I'm going to go get a basket. And if you bring help defense, well, I'm going to find the open man. I'm going to react and read the defense and react to the way you're guarding me and make the correct play after that. If that means going one-on-one and getting a bucket, then that's what I'll do. If it means driving it and collapsing the defense and then reacting out of that and reading the defense and kicking it out to a shooter, then I'll do that. And then once we do that, then it's just basketball. And then you swing and you drive and you cut and you swing it back out. Maybe you go all the way to the basket. Maybe you take the three, whatever it will do. But the read and reacts are different. JA3, what's up, Jay? AV said, I couldn't believe it. I also could not believe it. I could believe that they wanted to move on from Thibodeau. I couldn't believe the timing. The timing makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense, like I said earlier. But we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully they make a decision very, very quickly. The NBA draft is 2.5 weeks away. So they need to make a decision somewhat quickly, I would believe. Like, I would think you want the head coach in place before the NBA draft. When is the NBA draft? 2025 NBA draft is... Literally just tell me the date. The 25th. So they have 3 weeks. 3 weeks out. Almost exactly 3 weeks. 3 weeks from tomorrow. Madrasi Travel Trainer said, what style of team do you wish to see next year? Defensive, offensive? It has to be an offensive team. That is the personnel you have. You have to lean offensive first. Ironically, you have to follow the... you have to follow kind of the template that the Pacers have. You have to be an offensive team first with the personnel that you have. You have to lean into your offense, and your defense has to be something like, okay, we have this thing that we can unlock. We can't go to it all the time because we don't have great defenders, right? Brunson and Towns, we don't have great defenders, and so we need to have an average defense, and then we have to have the ability to pick up the defense, whether it's inserting Robinson or McBride or pulling Brunson off or pulling Towns off or pulling both of them off. Who knows? We have to be able to hit these spots where we can defend well enough, but have our offense be awesome enough to overcome any lapses in defense that we have. Kind of the similar way that the Pacers do, because the Knicks' entire roster leans offense. Your two best players are some of the best offensive players in the league. AB said James Dolan. We went over this, AP. James Dolan had nothing to do, not nothing, but James Dolan was not the guy who decided to fire Tom Thibodeau. It was Leon Rose. James Dolan was just like, if that's what you think is best, then go ahead and do it, brother. You gave the blessing. Jay said, I'm in shock about the news. I'm in shock at the timing. I'm not in shock at the fact that they moved on from Tibbs, but I'm in shock at the timing. I'm surprised that they moved on from Tibbs this offseason, but I'm not shocked. Namar said, do you think the Suns will announce a new head coach today? My thought is it's not going to happen until tomorrow now. Yeah, it'll likely happen tomorrow. It's pretty late. We've seen late timings before, but like I said, I don't know how credible it is, but I did see somebody say that the Suns organization has informed the two candidates, Jordan Oots and Johnny Bryant, of their decision. And to report that, but then not have the Phoenix Suns come out and say, hey, we've named our head coach, strikes me as, yeah, they made a decision on who they wanted, and they offered the guy the contract, but the guy didn't accept the contract yet. He didn't put pen to paper, so we can't announce it. If it's Johnny Bryant, and they said, hey, congratulations, we want to hire you as the next head coach, and he said, this Knicks job just called me. Leon, I just got off the phone with Leon Rose, and they said, damn, what are you thinking? Contract's right here. Take the job. We're offering it to you. 5 years, however many $1 million, we think you're the next guy. We support you 100%. Probably looking at the rosters. He's looking at the situation. He's looking at the scenario, knowing I do have relationships back in New York. I was there for 4 years. I do like being there. I can just go in blind to this Phoenix situation, and if the Knicks job hadn't opened up, I would have just taken it. But I don't know now, right? It strikes me as weird that we haven't gotten a decision yet from Phoenix. But we will see. We will see. AB said, I think it's going to be Johnny Bryant. I hope it's Johnny Bryant, man. I hope it's Johnny Bryant. We've been asking for Johnny Bryant for years. Let's see if he's good enough to be a head coach. It's going to be, I've been saying it forever, it's going to be a gamble either way. Let's go with the guy we know. Let's go with the guy we believed in initially. Let's bring him in. The fact that other teams are interviewing Johnny Bryant and having him be a finalist for the guy that they want to hire is a good sign for Johnny Bryant. Other teams also see what the Knicks saw and that, oh, this guy has the capability of being a head coach one day. Let's see, as a rookie head coach, if that is truly the case. Let's see. Let's see. I'm down for it. I'm ready to go with Johnny Bryant. I'm ready to go. Nick Yak said, timing points to Bryant or draft and don't want Tom's input. I mean, I'm sure they've taken Tom Thibodeau's input before, and at certain points we're just like, yeah, but we're not doing that anyway. So, thanks for your input, Tibbs. We'll stash it away, and then we'll make a decision. So, just because you have input does not mean that we will consider your input. But I think ultimately the decision was made because they did not think that Tom Thibodeau was the guy to lead them to the promised land. But I do agree with you, Yak, and that the timing does point to Bryant. Timing points to Bryant. Right? I hope, man. I'm hoping because I do believe in the guy. David said, can't make a decision now on what kind of team we want to be. Need head coach and got to wait and see the new roster. I think the roster is going to be largely the same. Some of the veteran guys will probably change. Guys like Lon Wright, Campaign, Andrew Shaman, Precious Achua will likely be gone. So it'll change. But not much. Bridges, Anunoby, Brunson, Towns, Robinson, maybe not Robinson, but Robinson, McBride, 4 rookies, they'll all likely come back and be part of the roster next year. Highly, 95% that all 7 of those guys will be back. It's the guys around the fringes that will change. So the roster will likely be the same, which is why I say whoever comes in needs to be offensive-minded first, and then we'll improve the defense as the season goes on. But we can't harp so much on the defense and not look to optimize our offense, because the way this team operates, right? My favorite moniker of the season, I might put it on a goddamn shirt, that's how much I liked it, was the defense needs to lead the offense. This team may look to be the opposite. Their offense may need to lead their defense, because if you can tire out your opponent enough by just constantly outscoring them, you can put them in a situation where they feel like, oh, we got to keep up scoring, or we got to jack up threes. And if you can defend it well enough, which the Knicks obviously struggled to defend the three-point line for the majority of the year, then it'll help your defense, because teams are taking irrational shots, trying to keep up with your offensive output. It doesn't necessarily have to be pace, but with your offensive output, if you're scoring every time down the court, you're putting pressure on their offense to score. And now every shot feels like it weighs 100 pounds, because if you miss, and they're like, oh, they're going to come back down and score. Man, I missed. I'm falling behind just by not knocking down my shots. It's going to help your defense. So the Knicks situation may be their offense may need to lead their defense. But again, like David said, can't put too much stock into it, because we have to wait and see who the actual head coach is going to be. Jackson and Randall respected him. In terms of Johnny Bryant, a lot of players respect him, man. A lot of players respect Johnny Bryant. AP said, I want JB. Johnny Bryant, me too, man. Me too. Dutch B, what's up, Dutch? As long as the next head coach develops the bench and our draft picks. Very true. Very true. Yak said, I bring back rookies. That's 4 players. Mitch, McBride, and Shamit. I let go of PJ, Payne, Wright, and Precious. I really like DeLon Wright. So if they bring back one of Shamit or Payne or DeLon Wright, I'll be cool with that. But Payne, I'm good letting go. Precious, I'm good letting go. PJ is interesting. I think he had a real impact on the locker room. I think a lot of the players really like PJ. I wouldn't discredit the pros of having a loud locker room voice like PJ Tucker amongst this group. I wouldn't quickly discard that. I think that's important to have. So I would kind of like to bring back PJ Tucker, but we'll see. Just that said, Bryant, Summer League will be interesting. Johnny Bryant coaching the Summer League to get ready as the head coach. That would be interesting. That would be interesting, man. I think it's interesting that he was never the head coach of the Knicks Summer League before, even when he was here for those 4 years, right? They went to Dice Yoshimoto every time, didn't they? Maybe they went to Darren Erman once. Dice Yoshimoto was the go-to Summer League guy. Interesting. I don't know whose decision that is, but I thought that was always interesting. Maybe he didn't want to do it. Maybe they said, hey, do you want to do it? And he said, no, I'm good. Who knows. But it is interesting. But I think that's it, guys. I got nothing left for you. I got nothing left for you. We can scour Twitter one last time. Looking one more time, not finding anything. So, Yak said, Shamit can shoot and play defense. Wright can bring the ball up and play defense. Yeah. The only thing with DeLon Wright that I like over Shamit is that he's a point guard who can handle the ball and bring it down and play alongside someone like Deuce McBride. The issue is that we never really got to see him play alongside Deuce McBride. We never really saw DeLon Wright get the ability to play alongside of Jalen Brunson, right? Like if you had a lineup of Brunson, DeLon Wright, Bridges, Anunoby, and Robinson, like that's interesting, man. That's interesting to me, right? But we never got to see anything even close to a lineup like that. So, Yak said we went Summer League with our 4 rookies. Yeah, you got Kolek as the point. You got Hukporty at the 5. Those are the 2 most important Summer League positions. Then you got Dottier and McCullough to fill out the wings. And then I believe they have a second-round pick this year. And whatever second-round pick they bring in, and then obviously, they'll fill out the roster with guys trying to make the league. So it'll be interesting. Summer League will be interesting. Dutch B said Bakum, Tyler, and Ariel time finally. Don't discredit Dutch Kevin McCullough, who came back from the injury this year and showed some really good stuff. So don't, give him his respect. Put him with the other 3 rookies as well. The 4-rookie squad. I'm really excited for all 4 rookies. All 4 rookies have shown a ton of promise. I'm really excited about the rookies. You guys know me. I'm super excited about Bakum Dottier because he's the youngest. He was the youngest guy drafted, so he has probably the most potential. He's 6'8", great size, sweet shooting stroke, played professionally from a young age. So I'm just saying. Yak said, if we're trying to get a forward, we need to cut some contracts. We'll see. We'll see what they're looking for, Yak. I don't know what they're looking for. Kevin McCullough may be good enough to crack the rotation. Bakum Dottier may be good enough to crack the rotation. We don't know. They may think they need a forward and then watch the Summer League and go, nope, we found them. We're going to give this guy a chance, right? Whoever comes in as the head coach, I'll keep saying it, Johnny Bryant. If Johnny Bryant comes in, he may say, I really like, this McCullough kid. I'm gonna try to work him into the rotation. He's gonna get some minutes. We'll see. We'll see. It's hard to talk about it, but let's just get to the draft. Get to the Summer League. Let's get our head coach, and let's talk about it. Then let's talk about free agency after that. Elvin Villamore, what's up, Elvin? How many picks do the Knicks have this year? I believe they have 1 second-round pick. I can look it up one more time, but I feel like I've looked this up 100 times this year, and I'm still not 100% sure. I do know that they don't have a first-round pick this year. AP said Rokas. I highly doubt that the Knicks would want to bring him over this year again, but it's not impossible. He could come over again. He just has not been in the Knicks. He hasn't been in their program at all. So I don't, I'm sure that they would lean more towards Tyler Kolek than Rokas Jogobitis, even though Jogobitis has more size on him. But Tyler Kolek has been in their program. He's been in their system for a year now, playing in the G League, playing with the big squad, actually getting garbage time minutes every now and again. When the injuries happened, he stepped in, was decent. They're very comfortable giving Tyler Kolek the edge over Rokas Jogobitis, who continues to refuse to come over unless he's guaranteed a roster spot, which is just not how the NBA works, man. Yak said, need a vet power forward with the rookies. PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker. Just that said, Deuce Legs had crazy hops still in them at the end of the year from no use. Yeah, like he should. He should. Barely played. He barely played. Knicks draft picks. I'm pretty sure they only have one second-round pick this year. Yak said, thanks again. He shows better every year. I appreciate you, Yak. That's a great compliment because that is literally what I strive for, man. Literally just be better than I was last year and keep that moving, keep that progression going. I appreciate that. Their only pick is in the second round. Number 50. They have the number 50 pick this year in the draft. So will they bring in somebody of value? Probably not, but you never know. Ariel Hook-Porty was the last pick in last year's draft, so they find value everywhere. Also, if they really wanted to, they could trade up from 50 to a higher spot if they really like a guy in the second round. But they likely won't trade up into the first round. They'll likely keep a second-round pick and maybe trade it a little bit higher, but just take a guy that they want. They do have a 2026 first-round pick, though, that they own. No swaps, no nothing. They have a 2026 first-round pick. That'd be nice to bring in a rookie in 2026. Just that said, Shaman and Deuce were rookies. We're rookie league fresh at the end of the year. Yeah, man, they were very fresh. I mean, I think a true travesty is that Deuce McBride played 11 minutes in an elimination game in Game 6. He played 11 minutes. Season on the line, Deuce McBride played 11 minutes. He's one of your 6 best players. He played 11 minutes, man. Played 11. Just incredible mismanagement from our head coach. A little bit closer for you guys. 2026, we have our own pick. 2026, we have a Washington pick that's protected 1 through 10. Probably go back to Washington, obviously, but who knows? Maybe their rookies make a big jump. Bob Carrington, Kaishan George, the number 2 overall pick, Alex R. Whatever pick they bring in this year, maybe they're the 12th team, and we end up with a lottery pick. Who knows? We'll see. I doubt that would happen, but maybe they fight for a play-in spot this year, right? The next time we have a first-round pick is in 2028. So every other year we'll have a first-round pick because of the Stepien rule. But there's a bunch of caveats to our 2028 pick, so we'll figure that out when 2028 happens. We'll figure that out, and then we don't have another pick until 2030. And then 2031, I believe they owe that pick to Brooklyn. And that's the one that everyone's worried about because that's really far out and who knows where this team will be by then. But we'll worry about that when we get there. Just that said, trade that 2026 pick for KD. You can, just as dad, the Stepien rule. You can trade picks in back-to-back years. So when they made the Bridges trade, the 5 picks were 2025, 2027, 2029, 2031. Yak said, hopefully next year is the 30th pick. Absolutely. If you guys don't know why Yak said that, it is because the team with the best record in the league, after the lottery, it just goes up to the draft order is decided like every other draft order in professional sports, where it's just decided by record. So the team with the 30th pick has the best record in the league, which is why Yak says hopefully he's 30th next year. I agree. Just Dad said, that's why Tibbs was fired right there. Deuce, 11 minutes in a road game 6. Yep, and he's one of your better players who has a ton of synergy with your best players. Didn't make sense. Didn't make sense then. Doesn't make sense now. Just Dad said, Josh Hart on the team next year? I hope so. I very much hope so. I want Josh Hart on my team. I think Josh Hart's incredible. I think he was misused this season, and that led to a lot of his poor play. But I really want Josh Hart back. Just Dad with a wild question. Josh Douche Mitch. Come on, brother. We're not doing this. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Let's wrap it up here. No news, no Suns news at all yet. So that's it. Let's wrap it up. Let's get out of here, y'all. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. It's been a fun one. We've been live for how long? This was a hour and 45-minute show. Oh, not bad. Not bad. Just that said, Mitch is your 5 until 2030, I know. Mitch is my guy. You know, Mitch is my favorite player. An unfair question. An unfair question. You know, I went for decently long. I thought this was going to be like a half-hour show. And I thought 5 of you were going to be in here. And I was going to be ranting. 5 people. Shout out to you guys who showed up. Appreciate y'all. We will be live again for the finals on Thursday. So we can talk about it more. Hopefully more news is out by then. And we will see. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate y'all. Justice Dad, Nick Yak, AP, Daniel Berry Sports, Dutch B, JA3, Namar, Self Genetics, Raymond Vasquez. I appreciate y'all. Raymond, I appreciate you. And I will catch you on the next one. Remember, before bed, brush your teeth, get a good night's sleep, and stay hydrated, y'all. I'll see y'all on Thursday, right? We're doing the finals, so I'll see y'all on Thursday. Until then, I'm out. Enjoy your night, everybody. Bye.